I've been a steward of the land for 12 years now. It's full of invasive species, and it's an ongoing battle, actually. I started off with the initiative to actually do a forest, and we engaged in a conversation in the winter of about 3 years ago, and we got to the end of that process and everybody's happy, we're going to move forward. And then I shared with my wife that, hey, we're going to have a forest in the back. She said, no, we're not. So at that point in time, I came back to CVC. I said, my wife won't allow me to have a forest. So I said, what she would like is a meadow. And Karen said, well, we can do that. So here we're looking at 3 years into a process of the installation of the meadow. We're starting to see obviously a lot of color and flowers.
Native grasslands are one of our most at-risk ecosystems here in Ontario. Most of the native grasslands that we have been destroyed. The remaining ones we have are susceptible to threats like climate change, for sure. So the native wildflowers provide a lot of food source and other habitat for native pollinator insect species like monarch butterflies, dragonflies, damselflies. And the prairie grasses are important habitat for ground nesting birds. So species at risk such as the eastern meadowlark and bobolink. Our native pollinators are really facing quite a bit of habitat loss. So the more of these native grasslands that we can put on the landscape, the higher those populations can be, which will support a more sustainable ecosystem for these species and for us as well.
The first layer of the project was targeting the invasive species.
Brad has worked with CVC to first remove all of the invasive species from the property. That includes shrubs like buckthorn, lilac, as well as other shrub species that are changing it from a grassland to a forest. As the more long-lasting species begin to develop their root systems, we will need to be mowing to treat this section to keep the weeds at bay. Eventually, those longer living grasses are going to become competitive on their own.
Just in the short 3 years in this project, we've seen many more species, different birds, different butterflies, as well as wildlife. We've seen an increase in deer traffic this year too. And I would anticipate probably as it does grow, we begin to see even more.
The native prairie grasses that we've planted have very extensive root systems. So as they photosynthesize, they take carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere and transform it into the biomass of their roots. When those plants die, that carbon stays in the ground. So the non-native grasses that were already here have very shallow root systems, so they don't benefit the land in the same way that these native prairie grasses do. Many of the grass species we planted are warm season grasses, meaning they do well with warmer temperatures. As the climate warms, these grasses are going to be important.
It's an ongoing relationship, obviously, positive working relationship, very transparent, so I would say it's been an overall positive experience from the start. We're more than happy with how the project has progressed, and I'm inspired for the years to come that we're going to see nothing but positive change. We would not be here without CVC.